Hi there, I'm Jennifer Ferguson with Artistic Painting Studio, and welcome to Hometalk. Today my fun project is taking a pumpkin from Hobby Lobby and transforming it into something that will fit with your own personal home decor. So we're going to get started. So I found this really cute pumpkin at Hobby Lobby. It was originally $11.99, but of course we had a 40% off coupon, so we got it for a really great deal. So I am just going to clip off my tag and we're gonna get started on this. So I have been really excited about seeing so much animal print and home decor this fall season. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do, is we're gonna transform this to a Leopard-Print pumpkin. So I'm gonna start by using my Bondago in black, and this just happens to be a paint and primer all in one, so I think it's just really easy and convenient to use. And all I'm going to do is just base coat. So before I get going here, I've actually taken an extra piece of paper and I've covered it with press and seal, so that when I start getting to the foil adhesive, nothing's going to stick to this. So just to start with, we're going to go ahead and just base coat the entire pumpkin black. And this will adhere. This is a plastic pumpkin, but the Bondago will adhere to that. And then we'll be able to get onto our other layers. So as I get this pumpkin completely painted, I have found that using these little painter's triangles work really great to keep it off the surface so that you can get the whole thing painted at once and not have to worry about setting it down on something or waiting for one side to dry and then having to come back and do the other side. So as soon as I get to that point, I'll show you guys these little triangles. I know you can find them on Amazon, but I think they also can still be found at Home Depot. You'll have to check and see if they're still available there as well. But this is going to be a fun project, and I know everybody always loves to coordinate their decor with what they already have going in their house. And I have a lot of black and white and some animal print, so I thought that would be so much fun to have on my holiday pumpkin. So this is going to be part of a centerpiece for my dining room table. So once you have the whole pumpkin painted, then these are those little painter's triangles I was telling you about. So I'm just going to set up a few of them, and that way I can set the pumpkin on top and it will stay there and it can dry, and all it's sitting on is a little tiny dot, so it won't ruin our paint job. So we're going to let this thoroughly dry and then we'll be back for our next layer. So our paint is completely dry and we're ready for our next step, which is going to be our Artsyville Embellishments foil adhesive. So you'll take that, let me just move my pumpkin here for a second to the side. I'll take it out and put it onto a foam plate so you can see it's just milky white looking. And it seems to be a little thick, so I'll always add just a little bit of water. This is a mist bottle, not a regular spray bottle. So I'm only adding about maybe 1–2% to the foil adhesive, okay? But mix it in well. I'm gonna get a little bit more on there, okay? This will help it to brush on smoother, and I'm using what's called an art wash brush. This just kind of helps it to go on nice and smooth and even, and you'll see that it goes on looking milky white, so it's really easy to see, especially when you're on a dark surface. But you want to get 100% coverage. If you miss a spot, that just means that our foil will not transfer that. So you want to try to make sure you're taking your time, and also the product does not self-level, so make sure that you are coming back and trying to even out or smooth out your brush strokes, okay? Because anything you leave in your application as far as marks will probably show through the foils. But to me, sometimes it adds some really cool texture, so I don't worry about it too much. But we're gonna go ahead and put 100% coverage on our pumpkin, just like we did the base coat with the Bondago. and we'll allow this to dry. Now this has to dry for no less than an hour. And if you could let it dry longer, it's probably best. The longer it dries, it gets to a hard, firm tack, and that is the best time to actually work with it. Okay, I almost forgot about this. I took a piece of paper and I covered it with just press and seal. So here's my box. Okay, I already did it, but it's just your regular press and seal. But I know my foil adhesive won't get stuck to it, so as I'm working on this, and if I need to set it down, it could get stuck to paper. So I always make sure I'm on press and seal, or maybe even parchment paper, just something that your sticky adhesive won't get stuck to, because it will stick to paper and it'll actually rip the paper off. So make sure that you put something else underneath. Even a foam plate would work fine. But if you find that it's not brushing on real smooth, then you can just always add just a little bit more water to the adhesive. And once we have 100% coverage, we're going to put it back on our little painter's triangles and let it dry for a good hour. And then we'll come back and go ahead and transfer our foil onto this fun project. Okay, let's let this dry and we'll be back in a little bit. So now we're finally getting to the true fun part, okay? We're grabbing our Wild Leopard Spots gold, and this is the large print that we have. And I've already cut some off of the roll, so then I'm gonna try to work with smaller strips, okay? I feel that this is just gonna be easier to manage than a big piece. And then I also have a nail scrub brush, a toothbrush, and I have my bigger scrub brush if needed, okay? So what we're going to do, and I have it sticking on my press and seal, okay? So it won't get stuck. It'll stick to it, but it won't get stuck or ruin the foil adhesive. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay a piece of this on here and just wrap it around basically as far as it will go, okay? And I'm gonna have all kinds of wrinkles and crinkles in this, and I like to use just a soft rag to start with and just rub it on and see what kind of a transfer we're getting. And I think it might even be best to go ahead and I'm gonna cut a piece. I'm gonna cut one of my wider pieces that I cut, okay? And I'm just gonna set the pumpkin right on the foil. And that way, we'll just let it wrap up on all those sides, and that way it's sticking already to the foil and we don't have to worry about it. So as you're doing your pumpkin, you're gonna have your high area and the low area. Well, it's gonna grab the high before it grabs into the low, okay? So you're gonna have to kind of release it and let it sit down in there to get the low areas. So I'm just using my toothbrush because sometimes it's easier to work with something a little bit smaller than it is to try to get something big, but we'll go for also try our nail brush as well. That might be a little bit quicker. So you just kind of have to play around and figure out what works best for your project. And when you're working on something that has so many highs and lows, okay, it's gonna be not perfect, okay? But I always tell everybody foils are just not perfect to begin with. You're always gonna have some kind of imperfections. So as I pull the foil away, if I can still see the black shiny part where it's the foil adhesive, I can always put that foil back and it might actually transfer more right there, okay? Because if it's still stuck onto the carrier, it'll transfer onto your project. So let's just move that out of there, okay, and keep that on the bottom. But, oops, gotta keep sticking. That is looking absolutely fabulous. So I'm gonna keep going around. I'm just gonna get a fresh piece and basically let it sit on it. Well, okay, let it sit on it and try to get stuck to it, okay? And then wrap it up. So there's no lining up of the pattern, okay? And trying to figure out if you got everything to match. I don't think anybody's ever gonna notice if it's a perfect match as you move section to section or not, okay? And if they're looking at your pumpkin that close, forget it. So even in the little tight areas up here, you can always get your little toothbrush going. And I just try to peek and check as I'm removing it. Okay. And just trying to see if I have any spots that are really not done yet. And we can come back and get those as well later. So I still have a big section up here that didn't transfer anywhere. So I'm gonna put that across the top area and try to use as much of my foil wisely, okay? Not to have a lot of waste here. Okay, so we're at the point where I basically just need to finish off the bottom and then use my scraps to fill in some of these areas that just didn't get into the low area. And I'm still keeping it on top of my press and seal because I don't want it, if there is any of the foil adhesive showing, I don't want it to get stuck to paper, okay? Because the foil adhesive is really sticky and it'll stick to a piece of paper. Okay, so I'm just kind of double checking to see if any of the foil adhesive is still showing, but oh my gosh, I hope you can appreciate how gorgeous this pumpkin looks. So I think we just need to find a ribbon or something to embellish it with, and then we'll take it home and show you how it looks. So here's our pumpkin, all completely done and on our table. I hope you've enjoyed this segment with me and learning how to foil a pumpkin.